So hi everyone, my name is Tammy LaPlante and I am the Children's Services Coordinator for the Whatcom County Library System. And I am here today with award-winning author Leslie Connor, whose extensive work for children includes Waiting for Normal, which won the ALA Schneider Family Book Award in 2009, Crunch, All Rise for the Honorable Perry T. Cook, and of course, our shared community book title, The Truth as Told by Mason Buttle, which won Leslie her second ALA Schneider Family Book Award in 2019. And it was a finalist as a National Book Award. So, wow, Leslie, that's amazing bio right there. And thank you so much for being here today. It's a real honor for me to be doing this interview with you. I'm a huge fan, so much so that I was joking with my colleagues that you and everyone else might be able to see the stars in my eyes today. So that gives you an idea of how much of a fan I really am. So thank you for doing this today.
Thank you, Tammy, and thanks for the warm welcome. And actually, it's my honor, I think, to be part of a county-wide read. This has never happened to me before, so I'm really, I really am honored and happy to be here. And I think that we're making the most of it with our little interview system here. Thank goodness we can do things like this, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I know. It's really great. We don't have to get in our cars and get on an airplane or do anything. We're just here talking, and that's pretty great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're so excited that we've been doing this. So kids across the county, as well as adults, myself included, have really been enjoying Mason Buttle. Some of us for the second time. I will say I learned so much more reading it the second time and was emotionally engaged in an even bigger way, I think, the second time than I was the first time. But, we're going to get into some discussion about your writing and a lot about, in particular, about Mason. But I know that when I read a book that I especially love, one especially that moves me in the way that this one did, that I feel a connection to that author and one that makes me want to know a little more about them. So in the interest of getting to know you as a person, what would you like to tell us about yourself today?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, I guess that, the top three most important things to me in life are family, friends, and my rescue dogs. And I'm a person who kind of cherishes a country life and yet feels really happy that, I'm also where I live. I can also be in New York City within, about 2 hours by train. So, feel like I live in one of those great places on earth that allows that. Most of the time I'm back in the woods here, perfectly happy, to be sort of, not really a recluse, but, I do like being sort of at home. And I think that probably feeds my work best to be here at home. I love making art just for myself and for fun. And I sometimes throw parties where we all get together and maybe have a theme and make some art together and have some good food together. And that's another thing I enjoy is I enjoy learning to cook new things from, time to time. And again, I think those things sort of center around friends and family again. And, I think that my other great fortune where I live is that I get a daily walk in the woods out in nature, which is kind of where my writing day begins every day. That's where I sort of begin what I call sort of a dedicated daydreaming, where I'm actually thinking about the story and it really kind of wakes the mind. And then I'm ready to come home and start my writing day at that point. So, I've fallen into this great luck, this great fortune of having these, the things that will work for me nearby me. So it's good.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I would love to start my day every day with a walk like that.
It really helps. Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah, I'll
I
bet
don't
it
think it's even
does.
science proven, I think there's even science behind that, but I'll sort of go into, think about what I was writing the day before and then what scene or what run of dialogue I'm going to go to today, sort of think about what's coming up for the day. It's not always what comes next in the story, but it's what I'm ready to write. So I will let it run. It's almost like a little mental movie, and it's almost as if it has happened one time through. And so I think sitting down to write it just gets that much easier. It doesn't mean I won't comb over it a million times before it ever becomes a book, but
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
that's a little
amazing.
bit about my process too there, I guess.
Yeah, which is always
Yeah.
fascinating to know. Um, kind of along that line, I think most of us have something that we love the most about the work we do.
Hmm.
Enjoy all of it. I know that's certainly true for myself as a librarian. Do you have, like, I guess, what is your favorite thing about being an author?
I think I probably love being an author. Well, partly because of the, that helps me reach out into the world. But I think that I probably love writing a book much the way any reader loves reading a book. It's a similar kind of immersion. In fact, I'm always behind on my reading stack because when I'm immersed in the writing, I actually find it hard to move over and read. It would be like reading two things at once or something. I actually find it hard to kind of take my head out of my book and put it, put it in someone else's wonderful book. I do. I used to sort of split my time up and do weekends reading and weekdays writing, but more and more I'm doing more and more writing. I think the great joy for reader and writer is that you're off having an adventure. You're off, being kind of down inside someone else's skin for a while. And I think that we're aware that there's a level on which that grows each of us as a human. And also, knocks us out of boredom, any boredom we might be feeling. So there's really a great joy in that. I think that's the thing I like most is just, the chance to have another life, that chance to have someone
Yeah,
else's life, even if you're perfectly happy in your own. I think that's what a good book's all about. Mm.
I love that. Very well said. I do. I love that.
Thanks.
Kind of on the flip side, I've heard a lot of authors talk about their writing challenges, right? And it seems like there's such a wide spectrum of different kinds of things that challenge writers. Do you find anything particularly challenging?
Yeah, I have one great enemy in this deal, and that is self-confidence. And too bad, I wish that I try hard to tackle it. And I think that, when I say self-confidence, I mean also that kind of, you've probably heard people refer to like the editor on your shoulder, where you're just not trusting, you're not trusting, it means that you're not as immersed in the story, I think, as you need to be for it to really flow and to write. We sometimes refer to deep work, when it's really just coming up. And so it's getting out of my own way along with that and keeping that voice out of my ear, am I doing this well enough? Is anybody going to write this? I never really trained for this. What the heck am I doing here anyway? So that kind of thing. I think those are the things that are detrimental to the process, and that you have to kind of get rid of those feelings and go ahead. So that's the toughest thing for me, I think. And then there comes that point where I'll seek out the criticism to make sure that I have communicated what I want. So, I think you can turn the worst thing into the best thing if you want to, if you want to look at the whole picture. So that lack of confidence makes me open-minded too, to say, oh, what have I not communicated? Just because I think I said this clearly, perhaps I didn't. And so that's what a critique group helps me with, and I'm really very open to their comments and everything. And I get a ton of help from them. So it's really, really great.
Yeah. I think it's easy for us to think when we read, like especially how I feel about your books, I just think they're all so brilliant that it's hard to imagine, right, that you have those feelings of insecurity in any way. So Yeah, thanks
That
for
makes me feel really good. If it comes off as though it was, seamlessly created, great. Because I'll tell you, there's lots of cutting and stitching and sewing, sewing things up together, and just making a lot of choices. I think, that's
sure.
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, you had to make a lot of really interesting choices in this book for sure. I have also heard authors, and this always fascinates me to hear about where they write. So you hear about authors who write in coffee shops, some who write at their dining room table, and others who have created these amazing decorated spaces that they can, that
Yeah.
their creativity to flow. Do you have a place, a special place that you like to write in? And if you do, what is it about that place that makes it you comfortable there?
I do have a special place I love to write, but I'll tell you, in the beginning, I didn't have a place to write really. And I live in a very small house with a very open floor plan. And so, my family was all swirling around me at any given time. And I have a joke, I always call my husband Mr. Work Boots, thump, thump, that kind of thing. But the great thing was when the laptop came along, because then I felt like any place I went could be my office. And it was almost like being able to open up your watercolor set anywhere you wanted and go ahead and do your work. So I thought that I always felt like the laptop alone was a really great thing. Down by the house, I enjoy a screen porch that we have. But a couple of years ago, we built the space I'm in now, which you can see kind of behind me. And this is this is one of those sort of, well, what they call maybe a she shed kind of thing. But this is the writing spot, and I call it the Spritty. And we built a kit that kind of went together like a piece of IKEA furniture and or Legos or something, and or Lincoln Logs, really. And so now I have, I can see the house. A house is probably about 100 feet away, but I come up into the woods, and this is where I am, pretty much all day. I do have to heat with wood, run down to the house for plumbing, those kind of things. But it's a great, this is my great space, and it's very windowed. I think you can see it. And one of the things I love most about it is the ceiling.
Ah,
I just sometimes take a yoga break or whatever and lie down and look up there. And this, I have to say, is pretty peachy. I mean, not everybody has a space like this, but we have found this to be the right move to have made, since our house is very small, and we're happy with a small house. But I did need a place to get away to, and now this is working very, very well. And I love coming up here, especially during this COVID crisis. Some of my family has moved home, and for me to just be able to come up here, all I have to do is let them know that I have a Zoom, I might have a Zoom meeting or something. So they ask them to stay off the internet during that time. And that's why I get a decent signal back here. But it's really lovely. I think it's really, it has worked out really well. So
it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I was wondering when you first came on here, I was wondering if that was your writing place. It's just gorgeous.
Well, thank you. We had to get the kids through college before we could do such a thing. But now we feel like it has actually paid for itself, because, it's been a really good, quiet space. And it's certainly paying for itself this spring, because the house is just a lot busier.
Yeah, for sure. I've been working from home too, and that's been an interesting transition.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can envision you now writing in that beautiful space. And I can even kind of picture you having been in that space writing The Truth is Told by Mason Buttle. So I think a lot of kids and myself as well are curious about what inspired you to write Mason's story.